Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. I made a number of opinion videos recently, especially coming off the recent break. It was very nice to see Thailand in the latter part of December, somewhat looking like her old self, seeing people going out, having a good time, going to restaurants, generally being festive, the ability to have a beer out and about. That was certainly, I think, rather fun, if not a novelty for the expats that have been over here since April. I don't mean to laugh, but it's almost a sort of a kind of a cynical kind of gallows humor watching this. But the reason for the video, and it's been very hard for me to watch, especially as a Thai and as a person that really loves Thailand and someone's been here for 15 years. To watch the way that this is just evolving, and the question I had, and I was actually talking to another friend, sort of tip of the hat to you, sir, who said, he likened it, he said, the way that the policy sector, the policy makers are trying to deal with this, he likened it to, bleeding. And by bleeding specifically, I mean the act of, back in the Middle Ages, doctors would actually bleed people in an effort to cure them. And there was actually some scientific fact behind that, apparently, and I'm definitely not a doctor, but apparently there are conditions where heart conditions, I believe, where you actually do want people to have less blood in their system, so you bleed them in order to put less pressure on their heart, less activity on their heart. I don't exactly know how all that works, but I do know there was some fact behind the practice of bleeding, but it was used to the point that it killed a lot of people that it didn't have to kill. That's kind of the cliche, if you will, the trope associated with the notion of doctors bleeding people in the Middle Ages. But he kind of brought this up and said, at what point is the Thai business sector, the Thai economy, going to stop, the bloodletting? At what point is the cure, quote unquote, worse than the disease? And it's a good question. And I'm hoping, and I do believe, I want to be clear, I can be critical in the way I view the way things may move as far as current events in Thailand, but I do believe that the folks who do try to assess the situation and make policy here in Thailand, I do believe they're operating in good faith. I don't have any doubt about that, quite frankly. I just think that sometimes fear, I think sometimes bad data, I think sometimes what can become the quote-unquote conventional wisdom can prevail when it's not the right thing to do under the circumstances all the time. And in those circumstances, sometimes it's necessary for people to really take a step back, look at things for how they are, and sort of make a determination as to how to proceed. And I'm really hoping that in coming days and weeks, folks really do look at the situation for what it is, look at the quote-unquote threat, and assess that against the very serious consequences that we know will happen and we have seen happen to the economy over the course of the last half year as a result of lockdown measures, etc. And we go ahead and we start making policy that's going to be best for all concerned.